So the first thing I'd like to share with you guys, I know it's been kind of confusing with all the e-learning days and what's due, and I've changed some deadline, some of the due dates for the previous week's homework, and so I'm just going to share with you real quick once I get my iPad on here. I'm going to share with you just what's due and when it's due, so you guys don't get a missing assignment for just not knowing the due date. So let me go ahead and get my iPad screen shared here. Okay. So from last week on Thursday, the 8.2 homework was due yesterday. Remember, I gave you an extra day for that one, even before we had all the e-learning. You had an extra day for that one just because I know we were pressed for time with all the 2-hour delays we had last week. Well, we didn't have any 2-hour delays this week, but they've been all being e-learning days. So at least that helps us get caught up, I suppose. The 8.4 homework that we did Friday last week is due today at 2:30. So if you haven't got 8.2 turned in, make sure you get that turned in so you can get credit for that. 8.4 homework due today by 2:30. On Tuesday, we did the circle worksheet, and that's due when class starts tomorrow. That was originally supposed to be due today. I went in on Google Classroom and edited those due dates, so it shows that it's due tomorrow now. It's due when class starts. So we have a quiz tomorrow. Maybe I should write that on here. There we go. So we have a quiz tomorrow that's going to be over sections 8.1 through 8.4. We did all those sections last week. All we've been doing this week is reviewing. So we did the circle worksheet. We reviewed the circle worksheet on Tuesday. Because that's a worksheet, I need to go over that with you. I'm going to grade that before we take the quiz tomorrow, assuming we'll be in school. I think we'll be in school tomorrow. I was kind of shocked. I didn't realize we were going to get a little bit more snow and the roads are going to be as slick as they were this morning. But I think we'll be back in school tomorrow. So I'll plan on turning that circle worksheet, having you guys turn that in tomorrow or grade it in class tomorrow. The practice quiz that we took yesterday is due tomorrow by 2:30. Still have 2 school days. And remember, we did that practice quiz together. So all you had to do was either join class or watch the video and then turn in a picture of your work paper for the Google Classroom into Google Classroom. Today, we are doing the second practice quiz. And again, after the class is over today, you will be finished with it. And so you won't have any math homework for me today. You didn't have any math homework yesterday. As long as you joined class and watched the video, you had everything done. So I wanted to make sure there wasn't any homework leading up to this quiz that we have Friday over circumference and area and perimeter of composite shapes. Okay, so if you have work papers for 8.2 and 8.4, I know some of you have been emailing them to me. I'm going to collect everything when we're back in school tomorrow. So I'll just dedicate the first 5 minutes to class for those of you that are in person to turning in your work papers. Of course, for those of you that are in my virtual class, still turn those in like regular to Google Classroom. But I'll make sure I take all your work papers from you guys tomorrow so you don't have to hold on to those any longer. Okay, so practice quiz number 2 is over sections 8.3 and 8.4. Just like yesterday, you will need a sheet of paper and a pencil and hopefully a calculator. Because just like yesterday, I don't want to have to do these problems for you guys. I'd like you to do them together. So yesterday's practice quiz was all about perimeter and circumference. This one's going to be all about area. So everything's going to get labeled in square units. Got to get my calculator out. So my calculator is ready as well. So this is practice quiz number 2. It's over sections 8.3 and 8.4. So we'll have some area questions of circles, and then we'll have some area questions of some semicircles and some other composite shapes. Okay, number 1, find the area of this circle, round your answer to the nearest tenth. So the circumference formula is pi times diameter. We use diameter when we find circumference. The area formula of a circle is pi times the radius squared, or pi r squared. In number 1, that distance of 14 millimeters they're giving us, that's the radius. The radius is always the distance halfway through the circle. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. So we're going to do pi times 14 squared. Okay. So if you have a scientific calculator, you probably have a squared button and you can type that all in at once. If you don't have a scientific calculator, like I left mine at school, so I'm using my cell phone, I'm just going to type in 14 times 14, because that's what it means to square it. That's 196 times 3.14. And that should give us 615.44. Okay. However, in number 1, they ask us to round to the nearest 10th, which is 1 decimal place. So I look at the second decimal place. Is that 4 enough, big enough, to bump this 4 up to a 5? What do you guys think?
No.
Nope.
No.
So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to chop that 4 off. If it was a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, I'd be bumping that 4 up. Because it's lower than that, I'm just going to leave it at 615.4. And because it's an area problem, millimeters squared. Yeah, really focus in today on the labeling for area, because on your quiz tomorrow, you'll have to make sure you're labeling everything correctly. Square millimeters. Remember, 14 squared does not mean 14 times 2. It means 14 times 14. Okay. Number 2, they give us another circle. This time, they're not giving us the radius. This 12 feet goes all the way through the circle. That makes it the diameter. So what would the radius be?
6.
It'd be exactly half of that. Good job. Yep, the radius only goes halfway through the circle. So 12 divided by 2 is 6 feet. Okay, so our radius is 6. We're going to use our area formula again, pi r squared. And so that means pi times 6 squared. What is 6 times 6?
36.
36, good. Yep, so I don't even have to put that part into my calculator. I can just do 36 times 3.14. That's going to be 113.04. It does say to round to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places. We have 2 decimal places, so this works. And we're going to label feet squared. I'll highlight my answers like I did yesterday. Was I using that? I think I was using a different color purple. That's better. All right, so first 2 problems done. Just got to make sure we're using the radius. They gave us the radius for number 1. They gave us the diameter for number 2, so we had to divide by 2 to get the radius of 6. Okay, so far that should be pretty much reviewed. We've done a lot of circles. Number 3, zoom out so you guys can see this whole thing. You want to find the distance that a person on the top of a Ferris wheel is from the person on the bottom of a Ferris wheel. Which best describes that distance? The radius, the diameter, the circumference, or the area? Okay, so there's our Ferris wheel. There's a person on top of the Ferris wheel up here. And then there's a person on the bottom of the Ferris wheel there. The distance between those 2 people would be a line from here to there. So let me rephrase this question. Which best describes that line? The radius, the diameter, the circumference, or the area?
Diameter.
You guys got it. Nice job. That would be the diameter of the Ferris wheel. Yep. If the question said, how far is the person on top from the middle of the Ferris wheel? What would you guys say?
The radius.
Radius, good. If it said the distance the person travels around the Ferris wheel, what would that be?
Circumference.
Good. And if it said how much space is there in the middle, I don't imagine there being a question like that with a Ferris wheel, but if it said how much space is there, what would that be?
The area.
Area. Good. Okay. All right, number 3 is done. We'll go on to number 4. Number 4 gives us a semicircle. Okay. So the area formula for a full circle, pi r squared, I'm just going to keep writing that each time so you guys know where I'm getting these numbers from. This is half a circle. So we're going to do 1/2 pi r squared. They're giving us the distance here, which would be the diameter of 18. So if the diameter is 18, what's that make the radius?
9.
9. Good. So we're going to use 9 as our radius. So 1/2 times pi r, or 9, squared. So 9 squared is 9 times 9. What's 9 times 9?
82.
81.
Close.
81.
81. There you go, 81. And so we're going to do 81 times 3.14, which gives us 254.34. But that would be a full circle if I had all that space, and I don't. So I'm going to take that 254.34 and I'm going to divide it by 2 because it's a semicircle. And that's going to give us 127.17. Now, yesterday on the practice quiz, we also had semicircles, but we were finding the perimeter of those semicircles. So you remember yesterday, we used the circumference formula of C equals pi times D, but we did half of that, and that gave us this distance. And then we had to add on the 18 inches onto that, okay? We don't have to do that today because we're not finding the distance around. We're not finding the perimeter. We're finding the space inside. So once I find half of the area formula, I'm done. I don't need to add 18 onto that, okay? Because 18 is a side length, but I'm not worried about side lengths today because I'm not doing perimeter. That's the difference between perimeter and area. Perimeter, how many sides does the shape have? Area is the space inside. Oh, so got to highlight. It does say to the nearest hundredth, so just double check. That is 2 decimal places. We have 2 decimal places. That should be good. Okay. Number 5, you won't see any problems like number 5 on your quiz tomorrow. Just like we had a problem like this yesterday when they asked us to find the perimeter. I skipped over those problems because I just didn't find them extremely relevant. Yesterday, we were finding the distance around the shape. Can anyone remember how long did we say the diagonal of a unit square was? Can you guys remember?
1.5.
Yeah, good job. It was 1.5. And so this would be 1.5, and that would be 1.5, and the rest of, oh, this would be 1.5 and 1.5, which makes 3, and this would be 3 as well if you count those. I'm not doing that today because today it doesn't say find the perimeter, it says find the area. So I'm literally just counting how many squares the shape has. So let me start by counting the full-sized squares. How many full-size squares are there?
9.
9, good, okay. So I've got 9, and remember I'm counting square units, so that's literally just counting the number of squares. I've got 9 full-size ones, and then I've got some half-size ones. Now these half ones aren't going to be 1.5. I know you're thinking, oh, they got a diagonal, but I'm not worried about the side. I'm worried about the space. Those diagonal lines take up half a square. So when I'm finding the area, I literally just count by half. So a half and a half makes a whole. A half and a half makes a whole. And then half and a half makes one more full. And so what is the area of my shape?
12.
Yep, 12. Now there isn't a label here. So what we did yesterday is we just put units. But since we're finding area, we'll put units squared. All right, number 6. Now we're getting into composite shapes, okay? So I need to find the area of this shape. What shapes do you guys see here?
A diamond.
Okay. That diamond has 4 right angles.
2 semicircles.
2 semicircles, okay. Yeah, it looks like a heart, just in time for, well, just a little bit late for Valentine's Day. That diamond is actually a square. And I know that because the distance on this side of the square is the same as the distance on this side because those 2 semicircles are the same. And so that's going to make these 2 sides equal as well. So we got a square and 2 semicircles. Let's do the square first. In order to find the area of a square, I need to do base times height, which are going to be the exact same numbers. They tell us that the radius of the semicircle is 2. So that means that this distance is 2. And that means that this distance is 2. So if the radius is 2, what's the diameter?
4.
And the diameter happens to be the side length of our square. So all the sides on this square are 4. But I don't need all 4 of the sides, I just need 2. I need to do base times height. And what's 4 times 4?
16. 16.
Good job. Okay, so the area of the square is 16. So I've got the square figured out. Now I have the semicircles. Now, what do 2 semicircles make?
A whole circle.
A full circle, yeah, a full circle. So I don't need to divide by 2 like I did here in number 4 because I can combine them together to make one full circle. And the area formula for a full circle is pi r squared. So I've got 16 as the area of my square, and then the area of my 2 semicircles is just going to be one full circle, or pi times the radius squared. And we said that radius was 2. 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. Can someone tell me what 4 times 3.14 is?
12.56.
Nice, 12.56. And now that I have those 2 areas, the area of my square and then the area of my combined circle, if I combine those 2 semicircles, I just add those 2 areas together. And what is 16 plus 12.56?
28.56.
28.56.
You guys got it, nice job, 28.56. And then I'm going to label inches squared because it's area. Yep, so I'm not finding the distance around, I'm finding the space inside. Number 7. Finding the space inside this shape. What shapes do you guys see?
A rectangle.
Okay, I see a rectangle. What else?
2
A
triangles.
triangle.
Okay, 2 triangles. Okay, so we could do the rectangle formula plus a triangle formula plus another triangle formula. Does anyone see any other shapes? No? Did anyone notice a trapezoid?
Yes.
We could just use the trapezoid formula and then cut out some of the work. And we could do the trapezoid formula plus this triangle on top. Now, let me get one thing straight. If you saw a rectangle and 2 triangles, you could still do the problem that way. Okay, so I'm not going to say you can't do that. You could still do it that way, and it's not going to take you very much effort. I'm going to use the trapezoid formula just because I know we're not as familiar with that formula. So the more we practice it, the better we get at it. Before I write down the trapezoid formula, how many curved shapes do you guys see? Any circles or semicircles?
No.
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 So you know what number I know for sure we're not going to use? We are not going to use pi in this problem. Okay, so we don't use pi on every problem. We only use pi in the problems where we see circles or semicircles. Okay, so no pi in this problem. So let's start with the trapezoid. The trapezoid formula is 1/2 times the combined distance of the bases. Okay, so the combined distance of the bases. How long is the bottom base of the trapezoid?
9.
9.
9.
What is the top base of the trapezoid?
6.
6.
6.
Okay, so I combine those together. What's 9 and 6 make?
15.
Okay. Times the height. How tall is the trapezoid?
3.
3.
3.
Yeah, it's 3. Good. So 15 times 3 is 45. And then we're going to divide that by 2. And that's going to give us 22.5. 22.5. Okay, so that's the trapezoid. And then we have the triangle on top. The triangle formula also has a 1/2 in it. That's why the trapezoid and the triangle formulas are very similar. But for the trapezoid formula, I have 2 numbers inside the parentheses instead of just 1, because I have 2 bases instead of 1. What is the base of this triangle?
6.
6. It's the same as the top base on the trapezoid. So 1/2 times 6. And then what is the height of the triangle?
2.
2. Okay. The 1/2 and the 2 are going to cancel out, because what's 1/2 of 2?
1.
And when you multiply a number by 1, nothing changes. So we're just going to get 6. You could do 6 times 2, get 12, then turn around and divide it by 2, but you're right back at 6. So we have 22.5 plus we have 6. So I'm going to add those 2 together. And what's that going to give me?
28.5.
28.5.
Good, good. Yep, meters squared. Now, for those of you that wanted to divide this into 3 shapes, 3 times 6 is 18. That's 3. 1/2 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Half of that would make this 4.5. And then we already know this triangle up here is 6. And so if you would have added them together, 6 and 18 makes 24. 24 plus 4.5 gives us 28.5. So for those of you that saw the 3 shapes instead of just the 2, you would still get the same answer. So don't panic if you were like, oh man, I missed that. It's no big deal. Okay. Another thing, if you're worried about not having the formulas memorized, remember, I'm going to give you all the formulas that you need to know on the quiz tomorrow. You will have the circumference formula of circles, the area formula of a circle, the area formula of a parallelogram, which includes rectangles and squares, the area formula of a triangle, and the area formula of a trapezoid. So you will have all the area formulas and circumference formula that you need. You just need to know what those letters stand for. If you don't know that D stands for diameter and you don't know how to find the diameter of a circle, you're in trouble. But if you know what the diameter is, you know what the radius is, you know if pi is 3.14, you're in good shape for tomorrow. Number 8. The tires of a tractor are 4.5 feet tall. How many 360-degree rotations do the tires make when the tractor travels 170 feet? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. Okay, so a picture might help. You don't have to draw a picture, but it might help. Okay, there's a tractor wheel. it says that the tractor wheels are 4.5 feet tall. So when they tell us that the tractor wheels are 4.5 feet tall, what value of that circle are they giving us?
The diameter.
The diameter.
Yeah, exactly. The diameter of the circle, because that goes all the way through the circle, and therefore that's how tall the tire is. So we have the diameter of 4.5 feet. Okay. Okay, so next question. When it says 360-degree rotations, is that talking about the space inside the tire? Is that the space inside?
No.
No. That to me sounds like what? When I make a 360-degree rotation, what is that actually telling me?
The
Circumference.
Yeah, the circumference, the distance around the circle, which is the circumference. So this is actually a circumference formula problem, and the circumference formula, oops, is pi times diameter, not pi r squared. And they give us the diameter here. So that's exactly what we want to use. Pi times 4.5 is the diameter. So 4.5 times 3.14 is 14.13 feet. That is how far the tractor, that's the distance around the circle. So that's how far the tractor will travel when the tire makes one rotation. Now that we know how far it goes on one rotation, we need to know how many rotations it will take to get to 170 feet. So I need to know how many 14.13s go into 170. What kind of problem is that? Divide. You're exactly right. So we're going to divide 170 by 14.13. Every single time 14.13 goes in, that's a rotation that the tire makes. So we'll see how many rotations that is. 170 divided by 14.13 is 12.03, and there's some other numbers. But I'm supposed to round to the nearest whole number. So that means I look at the 10th place. I don't even need the 3. Is that 0 enough to make this 13 rotations, or should I just leave it at 12 rotations?
Leave it at 12.
Should absolutely leave it at 12 rotations. Yep, so my answer is 12 rotations. So that was using the circumference formula to figure out how many times the tire spins for the tractor to go 170 feet. Number 9 says, find the area of the semicircular desk. So I'm not finding the area of the wall, just the desk. So it's a semicircle, and we've done semicircles. Just finding the area there. The area for a full-size circle is pi r squared. The area for half a circle is going to be half of that. And they are not giving me the radius here. They're giving me the diameter. So what would the radius be if I only go halfway?
3.
3, good. Yep. I need the radius when I'm finding area, even if it's a semicircle. I need the radius. So 3 squared does not mean 3 times 2. It means 3 times 3. What's 3 times 3?
9.
9. So 9 times 3.14, 28.26. And then we're going to divide our answer by 2 because this is a semicircle and it only has half the area. And again, we get 14.13. And that's going to be square feet. That's it. I don't need to add any sides onto it because I'm not doing perimeter. I'm just doing area. So that's the space of half that circle. And finally, number 10. A coaster is designed to hold 2 different drinks. Find the area of the coaster. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Oh, last problem. We were also supposed to round to the nearest hundredth, and we did. So that's good. So 2 decimal places. All right. What shapes do you guys see in here, number 10?
A rectangle and a circle.
I agree with that. Nice job. So we have a rectangle. That rectangle actually takes up parts of both of the circles. So that leaves us with a rectangle and then a semicircle and another semicircle. And as Catherine said, that's just one full circle. So a rectangle and one full circle is what we're looking at here. Let's find the area of the rectangle. The area of a rectangle is base times height. So the base is 5. What is the height of the rectangle?
3.
3. Yep. That 3, let me erase my red line real quick. That 3 is pointing to this entire line. Okay, so if the line only went halfway through, that would have been the radius, but this is the diameter of the circle. So that's going to be the whole side length of our rectangle. So what's 5 times 3?
15.
15. Good. So I've got this space now. Now for the 2 semicircles. Obviously, we've said 2 semicircles makes one full circle. So I'm not going to multiply or divide by 2. I'm just going to use my normal area formula. Okay, so as you guys mentioned, the 3 is the distance from the top to the bottom. That makes 3 the radius or diameter.
Diameter.
Diameter. Okay, I want the radius. So would someone please divide 3 by 2 and tell me what you get?
1.5.
1.5. Okay, so the radius then is 1.5. So pi times 1.5 squared. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to have to get my calculator out. 1.5 times 1.5. I hate my phone calculator. 2.25, and then I'm going to times that by 3.14. And that's going to give me 7.065. That is the area of both semicircles combined. I did not divide by 2 after I found the area because it's one full circle when I combine them. So I just need to add 15 and 7.065 together. What's that going to give me?
22.06.
0.65. It wants us to round to the nearest hundredth. So that means 2 decimal places. Now, if I'm rounding to 2 decimal places and I have 3, is that 5 enough to bump the 6 up to a 7?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay, so my final answer then, 22.07 inches squared. You are officially done with the practice quiz. If you're live with me right now and you missed any of the questions, I'm going to be posting this video shortly onto Google Classroom. You can go back, finish up the ones that you missed, and then you can turn this in on Google Classroom. You should have no homework today. You should have no homework yesterday because we did the first practice quiz. So you should be done. If you have your 8.2 and your 8.4 homework done, and you have your circle worksheet done, then you are ready for your math quiz tomorrow. Okay, so I'll see you guys in class. If you have questions over anything, please let me know. And you are officially dismissed. See you guys.
Mr. Bright, do you have a second?
I do. Let me pause the recording.